Losing a 26-year-old player who has never set foot in the major leagues shouldn't move anyone. It shouldn't spark debate. It shouldn't take up space in the mind of anyone thinking about rotation, payroll, and competitive window. But it does. The loss to the via waivers. Again, the same Cubs who placed him on their 40-man roster in November 2024 to protect him from the Rule 5 draft. The same Cubs who watched Toronto claim him on February 18th. And the same Cubs who now welcome him back, as if those 11 days north of the border never happened. No drama, no trade, no compensation, just the cold, calculated machinery of roster management. And that's where the Real conversation begins. Because this isn't about Ben Cowles. It's not about the bat. It's not about the 9 home runs in 113 games at AAA Iowa. It's about space. It's about hierarchy. It's about who deserves to occupy one of the 40 most contested chairs at Rogers Center. Cowles, 26, has never debuted in MLB. Last year, he split time between AAA Iowa in the Cubs organization and AAA Charlotte in the White Sox system. Combined offensive line, .235/.300/.371. 9 home runs, 48 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, caught 8 times. Nothing that sends fans spilling onto Front Street arguing after the game. Nothing that reshapes an October lineup. But baseball doesn't live on headlines alone. Cowles can play anywhere in the infield. Second, third, short, first in an emergency. That kind of versatility has value. It's not glamour. It's roster survival. It's the guy who enters in the 8th inning when someone tweaks a hamstring. It's the name that comes up in a doubleheader. It's real depth. And still, it wasn't enough. Toronto claimed him from the Cubs on February 18th. 2 weeks later, he was gone. Why? Because last week it was reported that 3-time Cy Young winner agreed to return to thee as a free agent. Now stop there, because this is where the conversation shifts. One AAA player out, a future Hall of Famer in. It seems simple, obvious, but the 40-man roster isn't just about raw talent. It's about timing. It's about risk. It's about who you're willing to expose to the waiver wire. Cowles survived 15 months on the Cubs 40-man. That doesn't happen by accident. They protected him from the Rule 5 draft in 2024 for a reason. They saw something. Enough tools. Reliable defense. Maybe not offensive impact, but utility. And when the Blue Jays claimed him, that wasn't random either. A front office doesn't wake up on a Tuesday and decide to collect AAA infielders as a hobby. There's internal evaluation, scout reports, projection models. But projection doesn't beat resume when the resume fills an immediate need. Scherzer's return, even without diving into contract details, takes up both physical and symbolic space. A veteran arm, 3 Cy Youngs, postseason pedigree. You don't leave that kind of bet off the 40-man to protect a utility infielder still chasing his first MLB opportunity. And here's the uncomfortable question. Was this only about Scherzer? Or is it about how the Blue Jays view their own infield depth? Let's be honest. If Cowles had been internally viewed as a strategic piece for 2026, someone else would have been sacrificed. A fringe arm, a more distant prospect. Someone. He was the choice. That says something. Not necessarily that the club undervalued him, but that within the internal hierarchy, he was on the edge. And the edge is dangerous territory in March. On the Cubs side, the move was surgical too. To open a 40-man spot, they placed right-hander on the 60-day injured list while he recovers from Tommy John surgery. Technical space, bureaucratic flexibility, practical result. Cowles returns to the organization that has known him from start. And that matters as well. Development isn't linear. Sometimes a player needs system familiarity, coaches, environment. His journey now includes an 11-day stop in Canada. Brief, almost symbolic, but part of the story. For Blue Jays fans, what remains? Confirmation that the 40-man is tight. A reminder that every decision carries an invisible cost. A clear signal that the club is prioritizing immediate impact. But what if that's not the whole issue? Because infield depth rarely makes headlines. Until the day you desperately need it. Injuries happen, doubleheaders happen, slumps happen, and then you look toward Buffalo and ask, who's coming up? Cowles had obvious limitations. A .235/.300/.371 AAA line isn't a starter's calling card. 9 home runs in 113 games don't swing a season alone. The stolen base efficiency, 18 successful, 8 caught, shows aggression, not elite speed. But he was there, available, controllable, versatile, and Toronto chose another direction. This isn't automatic criticism. It's a cold read. The front office is signaling between the lines that it believes it has sufficient infield coverage internally, or that Cowell's ceiling didn't justify protection. What almost no one talks about is how small decisions accumulate. You lose a utility piece here, a fringe arm there. Suddenly the margin for error shrinks. Not today, not in March. In July, there's also the human factor. For Cowell's, this is a roller coaster. Protected from the Rule 5 in 2024, survives 15 months on the Cubs' 40-man. Claimed by Toronto, spends 11 days in the organization. Back to Chicago, without playing a single MLB inning. That weighs on a player. That tests mentality. For the Canadian fan, especially the one who tracks the farm system with near-obsessive attention, the feeling is split. Part understands the logic. Part wonders if depth pieces are being discarded too soon. Here's the blunt summary. Toronto gains an experienced arm on the 40-man. Gains immediacy. Gains competitive weight now. Loses a 26-year-old versatile infielder still chasing a debut. Loses specific depth. Loses a potential emergency piece. Chicago regains a player it knows. Regains control. Risks little. Cowell's gains continuity. Loses stability. Simple on paper. Complex in reality. And before anyone says this is overreaction to a AAA name, remember how seasons derail. Remember how a seemingly small detail becomes an August debate. The Blue Jays are built to compete. Rogers Center wasn't renovated for a rebuild. Payroll didn't expand for patient development. The message is clear. It's now. And when the window is now, edge decisions get colder. So no, this isn't a franchise-altering story. It's not the trade that defines October. It's not the move that makes the highlight reel. But it's an honest snapshot of how a roster is managed. Of how every signing impacts someone. Of how professional baseball leaves no room for sentimentality. The real question isn't whether Cowell's will be missed tomorrow. It's whether the Blue Jays are comfortable with their infield margin for error. Because when you give up versatility, you're betting you won't need it. And over 162 games, bets always collect interest. Now I want to hear from you. Obvious and necessary move? Or the kind of detail we only notice when it's too late? Drop your thoughts. Let's talk like people who actually follow every line of the 40-man. Because in the end, it's not just about who comes and goes. It's about what those decisions say about where the Toronto Blue Jays believe they are. And that's worth debating.